All right, guys, so this 2019 Chevy Trailblazer, gentleman came in, said that the compressor on his way back from the coast just quit working. So as you can see here, guys, this thing melted down. I mean, it melted down. So I checked the fan, you know, the system of course won't engage. This clutch is locked up solid. I was curious as to what caused this because there really wasn't too much real visible from the top side. You start to look at this, guys, this is kind of the view you can see from inside of the vehicle. Now we could see a little bit of something that looked like dye here, but you can't see this with this in the vehicle. From the top side of this, you don't see anything, all right? But when we got this out, you come to the underside, now you can see the exact path it took. The oil started to leak from right here behind our front main seal. It was running down the compressor. Underneath the vehicle is all the underside of the vehicle, guys. You can't see it unless it's very heavy leakage. But this was AC oil and dye. So this had been slowly starting to leak. It leaked all of the oil in the compressor, which is only 1.4 ounces, guys. There's only 1.4 ounces of oil in this compressor. Leaked that out. When it did, ran dry, locked this clutch up solid. Okay, it don't move, guys. Now, this will still spin because it's disengaged, but the center section of this is shot. What we got out of this compressor was roughly that much oil. Less than half an ounce, guys, of total oil came out of this compressor, and it is absolutely embedded with metal. You can see all the metal in that floating around. This is 1 ounce. That would be half an ounce. We didn't even get a quarter of an ounce out of it. That's the total oil that came out of this compressor. You can see, I'm not sure if you guys will be able to see it, but there's some sparklies in there, guys. I mean, that whole thing is just full of glitter. It just looks like it's completely full of metal flake. That is what happens when you have a catastrophic compressor failure and this thing locked up. We're doing some research, Jay was, on this while I was pulling this apart, and he found out that this is a common issue with this forward seal leaking, causing catastrophic failure. Now, instead of just a compressor change, let's fix the core problem. When it goes catastrophic, guys, we gotta blast the whole thing apart. All the hoses, all new O-rings, new condenser, new expansion valve, flush the evaporator core. This went from relatively inexpensive, put in the new redesigned compressor with a better seal and stave this off, to this being a very expensive repair, guys. This ended up being close to $2,800. The next step of this process, now that this is out, everything's unbuttoned, now we're going to have to show you guys the flush process, and ours is pretty in depth compared to most, if not all. Most shops, guys, are gonna use about 16 ounces, maybe 32 ounces of flush. We use a gallon. Reasons for that. We gotta go forwards, backwards. When we have this much metal just in what little bit of oil we have, then ultimately that micro metal it's scattered through the entire system. So we have got to make sure this is clean, or this gentleman will be right back in the same boat. It's catastrophic, and now it's a full flush and a complete AC kit. This being a common issue, guys, I think we're gonna get together and put something together where we will offer just a complimentary visual check of these for customers. We can crawl underneath the vehicle real quick, hit it with a UV light. We can catch this before it turns into something huge. Save you guys some money. All right, guys, so we're back real quick. The 2019 Blazer we were just talking about. We told you it goes catastrophic. We've got metal scattered everywhere, right? Now, we have to flush this system, and you have to flush it thoroughly. You also then have to replace the condenser. This is nothing but a metal magnet. Right out of the compressor, right into the condenser, done. That's got to be replaced. All the lines have to be flushed. We have to pull the expansion valve. We're going to have to flush that as well. This is going to give you a real quick tutorial, guys, of kind of how we do this. We have set these up. These are actually stainless steel pressurized sprayers. We can take these all the way up to 100 psi if we want to. We don't need to. On average, we want to run between 40 and 60 psi. The bigger issue with flushing an AC system, volume, guys, volume. You want a nozzle that is going to give you volume, okay? You can see that? See how much came out of that, guys? Volume. We want to move this flush through the entire section density of the hose. We've got to wash that out, force it out the other side, go both directions so that we can break up any loose metal. You got a sprayer, some of these commercial sprayers that the guys use to flush ACs, man, if you look at them, it's just a little spindly stream. Guys, you're putting some flush through the system, yes, 16 ounces or so. You're not adequately doing the job. We had to come up with something different. This is another not on the commercial market setup. This was actually designed for something completely different, but I wanted something we could modify, we could use in the field. We pump these up with actually a portable air pump or a compressor, but we run a gallon of flush through the system, guys. Not 32 ounces, not 16 ounces, not this little flush gun. You want to run a lot through the system. So you want to focus on the big end of that hose right over there, Jay. You're going to see how much we're going to run through this. The big end of that hose right there, there's our expansion valve. I have not pulled it out yet, guys, and there's a reason for that. We are going to flush from this end to that end first. If this was open, a lot of this flush is going to end up behind the dashboard. There's a foam seal here, and this is only going to allow whatever flush gets in here to ultimately end up in the evaporator core and not in the floorboard. You can hand pump it. It just takes a long time. If you want to watch that side, we'll show you how much volume we're going to move through these hoses. You see that? Looks like a water hose, guys. You see it's finally start to run clear. We're done with the green. That's how much volume we have to run through these hoses. Now I'm going to get down here and get to the small one, and we'll send it through and flush that side. Now those hoses are now full of cleaner. We're going to let that sit for a little bit before we go back the other direction. And then you have to dry that system with air. You need a good volume of air. You want none of this liquid flush left in the system. If you end up doing this at home, you're trying to do this job, they sell flush in a can with the little nozzle that actually works pretty well. You're going to need 4 or 5 cans of it, guys. Don't let them tell you need 1 can. 1 can's barely going to do this hose set. We have another set of hoses over here we've got to do, and we still yet have to do the evaporator core. That's just kind of a real quick tutorial, guys, on how we do our flushes. This tank is already down to 0 psi. Now I've still got plenty of fluid, but I'm down to 0 psi. So now I have to go back and re-air it up, start again from 60 so I can move through the next set of hoses. But volume of flush, guys, and then air. Really dry these things out. Do not have any of this liquid flush left in your finished air conditioning system. It will cause problems. The other thing, guys, I didn't do it. You should always wear eye protection. I'm 30 plus year master technician. I don't always grab my safety glasses. Wear eye protection, guys. This stuff burns if you get it in your eyes. We showed you guys the AC compressor. Basically, the front forward seal had started to leak and blew up the compressor. Got through the flush, got everything cleaned out, everything good and dried. We actually carried this over to a second day just to make sure everything was thoroughly clean. Went together with all new O-rings, new compressor. While we were doing this, we did some research. My partner did some research and found out that, this goes all the way back to, what was it, Jay, 17, 18?
No, back to 2014.
2014, guys, there were some issues. You know, we knew early on about the condenser problems in the GM trucks. That's been a common issue. We've actually done some videos on that. This newer issue, I guess they're calling it Black Death.
Yep.
And so the compressors were having issues with these early on and ultimately just quitting for no reason. They would either basically come apart internally and cause exactly what we saw here, or they would just stop turning on. GM redesigned them in 17, 18. The redesign, they thought starting in 19, 20, 21 was going to be good. The problems still reoccurred. So they were having issues. They've redesigned the compressor yet again. When we went back with the new parts for this is actually the third iteration of the next redesign of this AC compressor to stop this problem from happening. So we will keep a close eye on this one with our customer. He's covered now with our warranty. We did perform the Max Cool AC system service on this after we did all the full repair, the pressure testing. We made sure everything was good. We balanced the oil after the flush. Everything was good. We don't have any problems as far as that's concerned. The system is operating as designed. But yeah, this is an ongoing issue, guys, with the Blazers, and I assume several other models of General Motors vehicles. We're going to do a little bit more research on it, but there's a good chance you probably got one of these compressors in a lot of the small models.
I was going to add, with some of the research I had earlier, they were talking about how the original refrigerant, after the redesign, the refrigerant that was coming from Chevy had
contamination, right?
Yeah. Right, and which was leading to the issue with the newer ones now.
Right. Some of the research we found said that, yeah, just straight out of the factory, guys, some of these came contaminated from the factory. They found through pretty extensive research. That's one of those things that if it isn't one thing, it's something else, guys. You know, all the way down to air conditioning and compressors, and then, you know, contaminated refrigerant. We will get you guys a full list, even if it's just in a short video. We'll get you guys a full list and years of the vehicles that may be affected. You know, just quick complimentary checks, guys. If you got one of these and you think that there might be an issue, just swing by. I can jump underneath there. One of my techs can take a look at it fairly quickly. We just want to try and catch it for you before it turns catastrophic.